It's Mr. Biscuit, Mr. I Beat the Dude That Beat You. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining me on this journey on this particular playlist. No big intro. Let's see where this one takes us, guys. Guys, the amount of times that we have seen Rin in a similar position where he's either in a hospital gown or a hospital bed carrying a guitar, the amount of times that he is in a very similar kind of environment or circumstance and uses kind of a similar set of props paired with the fact that it's all extremely different is a testament to true artistry. They say of someone, this is one of the ways that they test creativity. Like if you were to hand Jim Carrey this pin and say, just be creative with this pen. Do as many creative things as you can with this pen. He would use it to represent the letter I. He would put it in his nose and pretend to be he would pretend to be a walrus. He could just make a whole bunch of things out of a small amount of objects, right? He doesn't need this big. He doesn't need what the rest of us need, essentially, in order to be creative, guys. Where Ren is about to take us, no one knows. But the imaginative potential of this guy is just kind of off the charts. It's something I say a lot, especially if you guys have seen my Rin reactions with Black Pegasus. Rin never just dips his toe in things. I don't understand it. He just has to master it. So when it comes to the piano, if you saw him play piano at the beginning of Money Game 3, or, when he raps, when he plays guitar, he has to achieve this crazy level of genius and mastery over it. He's never really satisfied with mediocrity in terms of what he can accomplish. It's really crazy. So when he starts to do this croon, you are immediately elevated. It's almost like you can feel yourself levitating up from your seat, right? It's like he's lifting you up, ready to take you somewhere else, ready to take you on this journey. And I want you to look at how his eyes look when he starts doing that. Like, look at this. See how his eyes are? Watch when he starts going into that, ooh, when he starts doing that, watch what his face is doing. See, he's looking at the walls. It's such a cool thing. And tell me, you guys, if you think that I'm, over interpreting this, right? But when he starts playing this and he starts looking at the walls, he's recognizing that those walls are now melting. He has the capacity to take us to another place, to transcend the walls of his situation and to just go on a journey with his imagination. The walls don't exist anymore. It's, ooh, he's like, there they go. They're gone. They're disappearing. I'm taking you into another area. I'm taking you wherever I want to take you, right? Fascinating and brilliant.
London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. Rhythmic beeps and bloodstained sheets, our lady weeps, she's tired and frail. To set the scene, we must rewind the hands of time for Violet's tale.
You see time rewinding? He just totally rewound time. You hear that same thing like in cartoons when they're, doing that thing, that transition, into the past. He just completely took us there with the guitar.
Violet was a silent girl, grew up with violent starts. Her mother was a drinker and her father was a bastard. Every night he took a tie but never left the room. I'll spare you with the things he did, I'm sure her mother knew. Violet was a silent girl, she moved.
So guys, when a parent is silent in spite of what an abusive parent is doing, you are building a motivated expectation of silence in the midst of turmoil. When you are silent, when you should speak up, you're teaching the victim that they should be silent too, especially when they're in those formative years between 1 and 5, let's say.
Out at 16, a semi-detached council flat, paid for by a welfare scheme, packing shelves at Tesco, stacking jars like pickled bricks. She met a boy named Stevie and he was a little prick.
Of course he was, right? So guys, the amygdala in the brain is responsible for motivated expectations, right? And when you live a life where you are tyrannized or where you are victimized by someone who is supposed to take care of you, your universe becomes one where it's very difficult to trust someone who doesn't treat you in the same way that you were treated when you were little. Because it's just not familiar, right? There's a concept by a neurologist named Carl Friston, one of the most cited neurologists in all of history. It's called the free energy principle. The brain only wants to dedicate energy to novelty. And so the brain doesn't like to correspond with novelty. So if someone loving, someone who genuinely cared about Violet, if they were to show up in her life, it would take too much energy to process that. She didn't get that as a child. And so necessarily the cycle continues where she's attracted to monsters. She's attracted to people who will victimize her because that's what the motivated expectation stream is kind of giving her, right?
Violet was a silent girl and Violet she fell fast. See, Stevie was the wrong one, but he sure knew how to charm her.
Right.
Every night he took a tie but never left the room. History repeats itself, he'd paint her black and blue.
And think about this. What is it about victimizers? What is it about violent, arrogant people, which is charming? Maybe it's the amount of self-confidence that they have. Maybe it's because they can implement some narrative order. So when it comes to meaning in life, we want narrative order, nomological order, and normative order. And the narrative order is what part you play in the grander narrative. And a lot of times, guys, narcissists and violent people, they treat us like we're objects. And so sometimes we confuse that for a narrative structure. Like, oh, wow, this person really knows where I fit into his story, and then that makes sense. It's really unfortunate. I'm going to rewind it just a little bit, guys.
The wrong one, but he sure knew how to charm her. Every night he took a tie, but never left the room. History repeats itself, he'd paint her black and blue. And she never stood a chance. The devil comes to dance. Violet, why are you always so quiet? On her bedroom door and he's irate. He's been drinking and smoking, he's up late. And he stands by her bedside, she shakes, but her eyes stay shut. You fucking slut, I know you're up. And he pinches her eyelids and folds them up. Violet, why you lying to me, Violet? She stays silent, things turn violent. That's the sound of his fists when they fall like a crashing pilot. Hit like hailstones, one to the collarbone, full force, full blown, blood's black bone, crack, knick, knack, paddywhack, one to the jaw and the tooth spat, detached, fist connects and disconnects a bone. A quick deflect to misdirect the blow, but nonetheless his punches met her throat. Such a mess he's left her bruised and broke. Violet, why you always so silent, Violet? Why you such a little liar, Violet? Do you think I want to do this, Violet? In character, she stays silent. Well, say something, Violet. Silence.
It's important that you recognize that he just said, in character, she stays silent. Don't confuse her silence for her being so battered and bruised that she's incapable of speaking at this point. This is the power, this is one of the powers behind this song, I'm beginning to think, that in character, she stays silent. This is a silence that she's been practicing since she was a kid. She knows how to deal with a lot of abuse, right? And yet remain strategically silent. Continue to follow.
Fucking say something, Violet! Silence. Wait. Say something, Violet. Not one word. She stays quiet.
Isn't it interesting, just as an aside, that the alcohol that this abuser used in order to cover up and obfuscate whatever pain he was dealing with decides to strategically abandon him when Violet is seriously injured, right? It can't cover up everything, guys. It's going to abandon you at the time that you most need it.
London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. The doctor, in a state of shock, saw something here so very wrong. See, Violet, she was pregnant. Poor Violet, she was 9 months gone. Turning to the doctor, Violet broke her silence and she cried, if I'm to die right here tonight, please let my baby stay alive. The doctor soon regained composure, called the surgeon to come in. As Violet's world turned to black, the curtains closed, the lights went dim. In London City, far from pretty, 2005. A lady down in Paddington just lost the fight to stay alive. A tragedy or a miracle, it happened on these very streets. Two twins are lying side by side. A girl named Jenny and a boy named Screech.
Wow. I'm going to watch to the end. If there's something going to pop. Okay, nothing popped up. Listen, incredible. A couple things to say. First of all, the pain that was in Violet's childhood and the pain that she was forced to endure, knowing when to speak, knowing when to remain silent in situations where most of us would yell something to try to help ourselves. The defenselessness that Violet had to endure as a child made her strong enough to be strategic with her silence even as her lights were growing dim, and knowing when to speak in order to save the twins in her womb. Not only is that fascinating, but I think that Rin might relate to Violet. Because at the beginning, he is in a hospital bed, and the song begins with beeps, right? I think the song begins with beeps. Yeah, you hear that? Hear the beeps? And he begins by saying,
2 005, a lady down in Paddington is fighting just to stay alive. Rhythmic beeps and bloodstains, she
Rhythmic beeps, right? So the song begins with rhythmic beeps. And so does this situation, rhythmic beeps, and his hospital bed. So perhaps what Rin is saying about himself is, though my circumstance is a brutal one, I'm going to save the twins. I'm going to let something beautiful live as a result of what I've gone through, right? Because I can handle a lot of pain. And the ability to handle a lot of pain corresponds with the ability to remain silent when silence is necessary and to speak when speech is called for.